After a 1-1 draw at Bury on the opening day, the first home game gave City the opportunity to embark on another Littlewoods Cup run after reaching the semi-final the previous season. Reading had other ideas. City started well enough, with Paul Wimbledon firing just over the top from the edge of the area. But the pace of Michael Gilks caused uncertainty in the City defence, and it was keeper Francis's long clearance, flicked on by Trevor Senior, that gave Gilks the chance to put Reading in front. Some slapdash defence put City in further trouble, as Senior, capitalising on a ricochet, got in a shot which was half parried by Andy Leaning, only for Gilks to grab his second. City's fighting qualities were put to the test. They swarmed around the visitors' goal, and under pressure, Reading conceded a penalty as Smith was sent crashing to the ground. Up stepped Paul Wimbledon to take the penalty. And he made no mistake from the spots, and hopes of a cup run were rekindled. Hopes that were further fired in the second half as Dave Smith grabbed a superb equaliser, and City's joy was evident for all to see. But it was short-lived as the home defence was caught out again by that man Gilks, as the offside flag stayed down. (3-2) on the night, a result decisive as it turned out a week later when the teams fought out a 2-2 draw at Elm Park. Birmingham, sampling third division football for the first time, were among the pundits' favourites for promotion and provided plenty of problems, this Atkins drive being turned aside by Andy Leaning. City generally were well shackled, Gavin's cross into Taylor showing just how well watched the City striker was. Nevertheless, the ball is only partially cleared, and Mark Gavin's shot into the side netting was the closest City had come to a goal. At the other end, Leaning had to be on his toes against sharp Birmingham attacks. First from a corner, a well-struck shot was gathered by the City keeper. Then, from a poor back pass, Dennis Bailey beat him, only to see his shot hit a post. City eventually clearing their lines. As it was, a superb piece of opportunism by Bob Taylor clinched the points for City. Dave Rennie's free kick is headed on by Rob Newman, for Taylor to score with an acrobatic overhead kick. To date, City's form had been unconvincing, and the inconsistencies continued at Northampton, where the Cobblers inflicted a 2-0 defeat. Blackpool were the next visitors to Ashton Gate, and in a bruising encounter, free kicks abounded. There was also an early scare for City when Gary Shelton was subjected to an awful tackle from behind by fullback Morgan, who was booked. While Shelton was carried off on a stretcher. Thankfully, the diminutive midfielder was able to continue after treatment and play a part in his size 2-0 victory. City's first goal came from the penalty spot after Taylor had been pushed. Up stepped Wimbledon to place the ball on the spot and find the corner of the net. City's second goal was indicative of the match, a scrambled effort from a set piece, Rob Newman getting the final touch. Minutes later, Newman's fine effort from a free kick almost brought his side a third, but keeper McElhargy made a fine save. Hopes of beating local rivals Rovers were high, especially as City followed up their win over Blackpool with a convincing 3-0 win at Ninian Park. But once again that elusive victory failed to materialise. Rovers, playing a large part of the game with 10 men after Ian Alexander had been sent off for 2 bookable offences, were forced to soak up early pressure. Shelton heading over in this City attack. Rovers' £1 million goalkeeper Nigel Martin kept City at bay, but was grateful to the crossbar to deny Bob Taylor. Shelton turned provider as his side ruled the roost, but Wimbledon was unable to beat Martin. But Rovers began to control affairs. From a corner, Vaughan Jones fires over the top. And then, after good work by David Mayhew down the right, Andy Rees can't apply the finish. There was a let-off for City as Mayhew, getting on the end of White's knockdown from Holloway's free kick, struck the outside of a post. And near the end, Penrice shot over. 3 days later, another of the sides relegated from Division 2 visited Ashton Gate. Shrewsbury Town had made an excellent start to the season and arrived with a reputation for scoring goals. They were rocked, however, by a first-half goal. Rob Newman's effort is blocked on the line, but Taylor is on hand to force the ball home. After City had built another attack patiently, Shrewsbury keeper Perks had fought for that City goal, atoned later with a good save from Wimbledon. Even then the ball wasn't cleared, but Robbie Turner steered his attempt at the Shrewsbury defender on the line. The Shrews played some neat football, but lacked penetration. That is, until early in the second half when Leaning was left exposed as City were opened up by the equaliser. Play ebbed and flowed, Rennie's effort being headed off the line, and Taylor's back header ending in the keeper's arms. Former City defender David Moyes almost marked his return to Ashton Gate with a goal, this header forcing Andy Leaning to pull off a good save. And what an important save that turned out to be as City snatched the 3 points. Robbie Turner's header thuds against the bar, and Taylor, diving in, nets a spectacular goal. Four games without defeat, 3 of them won, suggested that City were beginning to knit together as a team. But there was a shock awaiting them on their visit to Tranmere on the following Friday. Nothing went right for them, defensive errors contributing to a 6-0 defeat on a night when Robbie Turner received his marching orders. That defeat was soon forgotten as City, with goals from Wimbledon and Turner, gave them a 2-0 victory over Brentford at Griffin Park. But City were still not displaying the consistency necessary to mount a promotion challenge. This was clearly illustrated by Swansea's visit. Without an away win in 42 matches, the Welshman took an early lead as Paul Rayner caught City cold, heading in a left-wing cross. When Bob Taylor equalised, City fans must have thought that City were on their way to another home victory. But they had reason to believe it was not their day, as from a corner, Taylor's header is touched onto the crossbar. And as a Swansea attack is broken up, Andy Llewellyn sparks another City attack. This header being saved. When another City attack from John Bailey's free kick breaks down, Swansea catch the City defence square, and on-loan striker John Salako, later to appear in Crystal Palace's cup final side, made no mistake to put the Swans back in front. It was man of the match Salako after City had been denied an equaliser by this goal line clearance, who sealed the Welshman's victory, finding a gap through the middle to squeeze home number 3. That defeat was probably the turning point of City's season. Changes were made as manager Joe Jordan emphasised the need for his team to bounce back 3 days later against Notts County, unbeaten in 9 matches. City certainly took up the manager's challenge, and their first half show was one of quality, epitomised by the opening goal scored by Jason Eaton, his first senior goal for the club. In a rare Notts attack, Leaning was called into action, but was equal to the task. City's relentless pressure brought panic to the Notts defence, and a hurried clearance almost produced a bizarre City goal. Off Bob Taylor's ear. County, showing more purpose in the second half, forced Leaning to save well from Yates' powerful header. But the points were secured when the Notts keeper fails to gather Gavin's cross, the ball bouncing off defender Craig Short into the net. Mansfield jolted City's hopes at Field Mill the following Saturday, but the home game with Wigan signalled the beginning of an 11-match unbeaten run. Shelton's goal, one of 9 in the season, put them on their way, and against a lowly Wigan side devoid of ideas, City were set to capitalise. So often during the season, wingers Smith and Gavin enabled City to turn defence into attack with their pace down the flanks. On this occasion it was Smith who got in the cross for Dave Rennie to head in. But Gavin was not to be denied. From his free kick, Turner makes it 3-0. John Bailey's goal at Crewe, coupled with a fine display of goalkeeping from Andy Leaning, brought City a 1-0 victory, whilst Walsall suffered at the hands of Turner and Taylor as City made it 3 wins in a row. A crowd of almost 12,000 was present when Bolton were the visitors. Like City, they were well placed in the 3rd division and came to Ashton Gate determined to spoil City's pattern. Rob Newman's half volley gave City the lead in the first half, but they were incensed shortly afterwards when Bob Taylor was sent off. In a poor match, City failed to make much of an impression after his dismissal, and fullback Brown's shot from 20 yards caught Leaning by surprise and denied City their win bonus. The FA Cup first-round tie with Barnet provided City with a break from league action, but the GM Vauxhall Conference side proved tough nuts to crack. After the Barnet keeper had parried Dave Rennie's shot, Bob Taylor once again demonstrated his knack for being in the right place at the right time, tucking in the rebound. From Leaning's clearance, City build another attack. Gavin teasing the keeper. And not to be outdone, his fellow winger Dave Smith shows a turn of pace to provide Turner with City's second. Barnet had their moments. I'm sure no one would have begrudged them a consolation goal, but this effort was the closest they came. The shot flying wide. Back in the league, City's second visit to Elm Park brought them another draw, Dave Rennie's Thunderbolt giving them the lead only for Reading to equalise in the second half. A third successive draw in the league resulted when Rotherham came to Ashton Gate, In a poor game, the best chances fell to the Millers. First, after good work down the right, this close-range chance was squandered. Then Andy Leeming pulled off a good save as Rotherham opened City up again. And as City get themselves in a tangle again, Leeming comes to the rescue. That game marked the City debut of lone striker Andy Jones. He had little chance to shine, but in the Leyland Daft preliminary round game with Swansea, he got himself on the score sheet with this header. Swansea, who to date were the only side to have beaten City in the league at Ashton Gate, they'd won 3-1, didn't pose the same threat to the home side on this occasion. City had things very much their own way in the opening exchanges. As Swansea twice failed to clear their lines, they're punished by Gary Shelton, and the Welshmen find themselves 2-0 down. But they're offered a lifeline when Glenn Humphreys is adjudged to have fouled in the box. And the resultant penalty is slotted home. Indeed, they almost equalised as they got on top for a while, when a poor back pass was stroked past the post. It was City, however, who finished the stronger. In this Smith run and cross, Andy Jones heads against the underside of the bar, Rennie being squeezed out from the rebound. And in the final stages, Dave Smith's shot is pushed against the post. 4 days later, City were in cup action again. The FA Cup draw had given them another home tie, this time against Fulham. The game was surrounded in controversy. First, Fulham tried to get the game postponed, claiming that illness and injury had decimated their squad and that they couldn't field a team. The FA ruled that the game should go ahead, and it was City's turn to feel aggrieved as Gary Shelton was refused permission to play with a plaster cast on his injured wrist damaged at Reading. As it turned out, it was his replacement, Paul Wimbledon, who proved to be City's match winner. An early effort from Smith hit the post, and then Dave Rennie, set up by Mark Gavin, was denied by Jim Stannard, these efforts being the closest City came to a goal. Three minutes before half-time, Fulham took a shock lead in controversial circumstances. Referee Vickers adjudging that the ball had crossed the goal line after it had bounced down off the bar. Judge for yourselves. Was it over or not? The Fulham fans were in no doubt. When Gavin's free kick struck the bar, it seemed City were destined not to score. But then Wimbledon came into the picture. His cross was chested down by Bob Taylor, whose volley gave Stannard no chance. The game was there to be won, and it was Fulham's turn to be unhappy with the referee's decision as Smith tumbled and a penalty awarded. The protests were waved aside, and Wimbledon made no mistake, and City were into the third round, rewarded with another home tie, this time against high-flying Swindon Town. Before that tie, however, there was plenty of league football to be undertaken. In difficult conditions, the blustery wind contributed to City's opening goal against Leyton Orient. Dave Smith's cross from the left comes off the head of an Orient defender, and under pressure from Bob Taylor, the ball and Paul Hild finish in the net. Was it a foul? Whether it was or not, there was no doubt about City's second, Gavin's corner, finding Taylor's head. With the wind in their favour in the second half, Orient made more of a fight of it, but the visitors could only find a way through once. The Christmas period saw the Robins travelling to Fulham and Huddersfield. Another Bob Taylor goal was enough to obtain the 3 points at Craven Cottage, but despite a goal from Andy Jones at Leeds Road, City's unbeaten 11-match run came to an end with a 2-1 defeat. 1990 began with a morning game on New Year's Day, with Preston providing the opposition. After Taylor had had this shot saved, City got the break they needed 9 minutes before half-time. Andy Llewellyn's cross, flicking off the head of the defender and looping over Kelly. Smith was again in the thick of the action, his free kick being parried, and Gavin following up, seeing his attempt blocked. Gavin also saw his free kick held, and City thought they'd scored after Gavin's corner had set up a goalmouth scramble in which Kelly excelled, but the goal was disallowed. But minutes later, from another Gavin corner, the Preston keeper fails to hold the cross, the ball falling to Rob Newman, who makes no mistake. In a rare Preston raid, a late strike from Mooney caused City some jittery moments, but they held on and maintained third place in Division 3. The following Saturday, it was back to FA Cup action, and a cracking match with local rivals Swindon Town. Manager Ozzy Ardiles, in the short time he'd been in charge, had transformed the Wiltshire club into an exciting and successful second division team. A crowd of more than 17,000 provided a tremendous atmosphere and saw Bob Taylor give City the lead. Swindon gave as good as they got, and penalty appeals were waved aside, the free kick in fact going to City. The Wiltshire side suffered a further setback before half-time, as Gavin's corner, flicked on by Rennie, produced a scramble in the Swindon area. Newman and Taylor both had stabs at the ball, skipper Newman being credited with the goal. Swindon showed their quality and bounced back quickly. Bodin's free kick is only partially cleared, the ball is played back into the box, Gittins gets in the header, and Shearer is there to beat Sinclair. From another Bodin free kick, Gittins, often joining his attack, is followed by Sinclair's save. Whilst at the other end, Rob Newman goes close to adding to his first half effort from Gavin's corner. In a last-ditch Swindon rally, their bid to save the game is foiled by the crossbar, Bodin's effort dropping down and Sinclair gratefully gathering the ball. The win brought City a fourth-round place for the first time since 1981, and another home tie, this time with First Division Chelsea. City hit the top of Division 3 the following week with a superb 4-0 victory over Birmingham at St Andrews, and with home games to follow, it was vital that City capitalised. Bury themselves with promotion aspirations, set out to frustrate City, although they threatened first, Sinclair diving to keep out this close-range header. Chances were limited throughout, but City's winner was worth waiting for. Gavin shrewdly weighted through ball, giving Dave Smith the opportunity to put Bury's defender under pressure and force a mistake which enabled him to run on and round the keeper for a superb goal. Gavin, a constant threat to third division defences throughout the season, won a penalty which should have wrapped up the game for City. but skipper Rob Newman's penalty lacked power and was saved. After qualifying for the second stage of the Leyland Daft Cup, City were well under strength for the game with Notts County, and there was little to enthuse over. County called the tune, as City lacked ideas, and the Notts goal early in the second half was enough to see them through. There was an entirely different atmosphere at Ashton Gate 4 days later when Chelsea arrived, hoping to avoid being on the wrong end of a giant-killing act. Their hopes were shattered early on as keeper Dave Besant failed to hold Andy Llewellyn's long-range attempt on the greasy surface for Turner to score. Sinclair, continuing in the City goal in the absence of the injured Leaning, proved that his handling was more secure. But it was Besant who was under pressure, as his defenders looked ill at ease against a bombardment of attacks, this Taylor effort going just wide. Such was City's dominance that it was no surprise when Turner made it 2. Even though he required 2 stabs at the cherry. Once again, from being in total control, City contrived to make things difficult for themselves, conceding a goal. Kevin Wilson's header beating Sinclair. All of a sudden, the Londoners felt that they could save the game. Sinclair and the post kept this effort out. Then, as City's defence was exposed, Sinclair, with luck on his side, made an important save to keep City in front. Just to rub salt into Chelsea's wounds, City showed their resilience by putting the game out of reach in the last minute. Besant denying Robbie Turner his third, but unable to prevent Gavin following up from making it 3-1, and setting up yet another home tie, this time with 4th Division Cambridge United. There were fears that the FA Cup run would hamper City's progress in achieving their main goal, promotion, but they had little time to savour their latest FA Cup conquest, Chester arriving at Ashton Gate just 3 days after the Chelsea game for a 3rd Division match. The game, played in atrocious conditions, was hardly a classic, neither keeper being overextended, although Chester's Billy Stewart had to get down smartly to smother this header. As the rain poured down, the pitch more and more resembled a bog, but those supporters who braved the elements were rewarded with Rob Newman's vintage winner, which kept City at the top of Division 3. The bad weather caused the postponement of City's game at Twerton Park with Rovers, and the fixtures were piling up. Cardiff, already vanquished at Ninian Park, were City's next opponents in a game which was settled in essence by 2 offside decisions, one that was and one that wasn't. The one that wasn't gave Gary Shelton the opportunity to put City ahead. The one that was left Cardiff fuming as this attempt was ruled out. City went close as a Cardiff defender took the ball off the toe of Robbie Turner from this right-wing cross. And Cardiff were justified in thinking it wasn't their day, as first Abraham's header is cleared off the line, then the follow-up header thuds against the bar. The 1-0 victory means City stayed top of the table. To most people, Cambridge United would be cannon fodder for rampant City, but the 5th round FA Cup tie proved anything but a pushover. After the 4th Division side had had an early scare as Gavin's corner shaved post and crossbar, Cambridge who had the more clear-cut chances. The best of those chances fell to Taylor, who somehow put this close-range effort wide. And in the second half, to Dion Dublin, who headed just over, under pressure, from Sinclair. Even so, as on previous occasions through the season, City almost clinched a late victory through this Bob Taylor effort from Dave Smith's cross. The replay in front of a full house at the Abbey Stadium failed to separate the two teams after extra time, and perhaps those two gruelling FA Cup ties took their toll as Reading became the second team to win in the league at Ashton Gate. This was the fifth meeting between City and Reading, and the fifth time that City had failed to win. City had enough of the game early on, Taylor seeing a shot hit the post. Francis saving from Dave Smith. And Hicks clearing over his own bar after Francis had misjudged Smith's cross from a free kick. Some poor defending gave Reading substitute David Leeworthy a simple chance from a corner to put Reading in front. But there was still time for City to salvage a point, as from Shelton's free kick, Bob Taylor was bundled to the ground inside the box. Dave Rennie stepped up to take the spot kick, but fired high and wide. The beat was a blow to City, but they maintained top spot. The FA Cup saga with Cambridge took City back to the Abbey Stadium, where their hopes of further progress were sent crashing following a 5-1 defeat. Again the players bounced back, and another Bob Taylor hat-trick gave his side a convincing 3-0 victory at Chester. The game also marked the first appearance of new signing Dean Horrocks from Millwall, and he was on show for the next home game with Tranmere Rovers. Without key players, City conceded an early goal to fullback McCarrick before he limped off with a knee injury. Tranmere always looked in control, and within 10 minutes of the second half the game was out of reach. In a nightmare start to the second half, Ronnie Sinclair can only help a shot into the net. And after saving it full stretch, the City keeper seems late down to an innocuous header which creeps in at the near post. Some of City's gloom was lifted as Shelton skillfully engineered his own opening to pull a goal back, but the defeat knocked City off the top, to be replaced by the Birkenhead team. City's joy at their win at Shrewsbury the following Saturday after a last-minute Dave Smith goal turned to sadness hours later after the tragic death of Dean Horrocks in a car crash. The game at Blackpool 3 days later went ahead, and another victory was chalked up before City returned to Ashton Gate to play injury-hit Brentford. The game was hardly a classic, but from a long ball forward, Mark Gavin capitalises on the indecision of defender and keeper Parks to put City ahead. Most of the Bees' sting came from set pieces, and Sinclair did well to push this free kick round a post. The points were clinched, however, with a crisp City move down the left flank, Mark Gavin receiving the ball from Smith and setting up a shooting chance for Rennie, who beat keeper Parks. With games to make up, City were playing 2 matches a week, but wins like the 5-0 midweek victory at Swansea in a splendid team performance made light of their arduous programme, as did the point gained at Notts County. With 2 home games to follow, both against lowly opposition, it seems City would strengthen their position at the top of the table. Northampton were at 6s and 7s early on, and Robbie Turner finished off a good City move to open the scoring. The Cobblers' defence was all at sea again 12 minutes later from a Gavin corner, the ball not being cleared, and Gary Shelton stabbing the ball home from close range. Desperate for points, Northampton staged a mini revival. After a right-wing corner had only been partially cleared, Lee Byrne's header flashed just wide as City relaxed their grip. Some poor defending gave Bobby Barnes the chance to narrow the deficit. But City reasserted their authority on the game, Gleisure tipping Andy Llewellyn's shot over the bar. The Northampton keeper didn't fare so well, however, as Bob Taylor beat him to the ball to score City's third after Dave Smith's free kick had squeezed through the defensive wall. Smith was again the unlucky party as his shot crashed against a post. 3-1 to City though, and the first of those home games negotiated safely. Over the years, Mansfield have fared pretty well at Ashton Gate, and this season's visit proved no different. Desperate for points, they exasperated the home side with their defensive approach, and yet were closest to scoring in this raid. They further shocked the home crowd when skipper Mark Kearney gave them a second-half lead after being left with a free header. A goal down, patience was the key if City were to salvage something from the game. Generally, the City attack was well held by an uncompromising Mansfield defence, well marshalled by player-manager George Foster. Chances were limited, but hopes were raised from this move as Gavin saw his shot saved as City looked for an equaliser. With time running out, a throw-in finds Gavin, and the tricky winger, as on so many occasions previously, finds the head of Bob Taylor, who gratefully accepts the chance for the equaliser. It had been close, but the point for City kept them at the top. Wins at Rotherham and Wigan made it 12 away victories for the season, just one from equalling City's all-time record. Crewe were expected to provide stiff opposition, having gone a club record 15 matches without defeat, but their hopes of further extending that record run soon evaporated as City put on a show of fine attacking football. On-loan striker Ian Ferguson triggered a City goal spree as his persistence forced a Crewe defender to bring him down in the box. After previous misses by Rob Newman and Dave Rennie, it was Mark Gavin who took over as penalty taker, and he fired his shot into the top corner despite Grey Goose getting a hand to the ball. City's slick football had unnerved the Crewe defence from the first whistle, and they were made to pay as Bob Taylor demonstrated that it's fatal to dither when he's around. Grey Goose well beaten by his powerful shot from the edge of the box. With a 2-goal lead, City were well in control, playing with a confidence that afforded Crewe little scope. Indeed, the Railwaymen had no answer as the home side built their moves patiently and precisely from the back. With Mark Gavin in irresistible form, goals were bound to come, and Crewe found themselves further behind before half-time as the winger set up Bob Taylor for his second and his side's third. As City continued to dominate, Grey Goose was brought into action again as Ferguson showed his class with a shot parried by the Crewe custodian. But you can't keep that man Bob Taylor down for long. A quality strike from all of 25 yards, thundering into the net for his third hat-trick and goal number 34 for the season. A season that was virtually ended 5 minutes later as the striker pulled up with a hamstring injury and had to be carried from the field on a stretcher. The game as a contest was already over, but Crewe gleaned some reward for the fighting qualities shown, and after a corner had not been properly cleared, Murphy's fine drive brought them a late goal. How would City fare without Bob Taylor? That was the question all City fans were asking. At Preston on the synthetic pitch, City twice squandered the lead, but nevertheless gathered a priceless point at the start of the Easter programme. On Easter Monday morning, Fulham provided the opposition, and as in the cup game, took the lead against the run of play. And memories of the previous season's game, when the Londoners won 5-1, came flooding back. As it was, those thoughts were premature. Nicky Morgan, replacing the injured Taylor, was on hand to grab the equaliser. From then on, it was one-way traffic. Fulham's defensive system looked vulnerable, so much so that Stannard did well to get back to tip his colleague's intended back pass round the post. And as Fulham continued to rock, the keeper was on hand again as Rennie powered in another shot. One of many peppering the Fulham goal. As in previous games, the pace and skill of Smith and Gavin again enabled City to turn defence into attack. On this occasion it was Smith's pace which brought him a goal, so similar in execution to the one against Bury earlier in the season. His speed leaving the Fulham defence standing, and his finishing first class. Rob Newman made it 3-1 as Fulham got in a mess at a set piece. Whilst another good move saw Fulham escape as Shelton fired against a post after Gavin had set up Rennie. The visitors just didn't know what had hit them. It was Gavin again who was the provider, as Ferguson was on target to make it 4-1. Ferguson indeed twice went close to making it 5. On the first occasion, outstanding play set up a shooting chance, well saved by Stannard. Whilst 2 minutes later, after a Shelton run, the Scot thought he had netted only for his effort to be ruled out for offside. Much to the disgust of midfielder Shelton. City, though, were in rampant form, and goal number 5 wasn't far away. Shelton touching in a Smith cross. A draw at Brisbane Road kept City on top of the division, and the Robins were edging closer to promotion. Huddersfield had, for much of the season, looked a good bet for the playoffs, but recent setbacks had dampened their hopes. The game was memorable for several free kicks. First, Ian Ferguson forced Hardwick to save. Then Sinclair at the other end had to save Craig Maskell's free kick, pushing the ball over. From the ensuing corner, Duggan puts the visitors in front. After Gavin's free kick had been pushed aside, City were grateful to see another free kick from the dangerous Maskell hit the bar. They were even more grateful, however, to Nicky Morgan, signed just before the transfer deadline for their late equaliser. Gavin, engineering a shooting chance for himself, sees Hardwick parry his shot, the rebound falling to Morgan, who found the top corner. Defeats at Bolton and Bristol Rovers cost City top spot, and after the 3-0 defeat at Twerton Park, City were still left needing points to clinch outright promotion. As it happened, the disappointment of the Rovers' defeat was tempered slightly the following evening, as Notts County, the only team who could catch City, fell to win at Reading. The celebrations could now begin, and there was a carnival atmosphere for the home game against Walsall, a side already relegated. The pressure was off for City, and the party got into full swing early on as from a Gavin corner the ball bobbles around before Shelton fires home to put City on the road to an emphatic victory. With City getting players forward, Walsall tried gallantly to stem the tide. The Robins' fluency was evident for all to see. Llewellyn, overlapping on the right, sees his cross deflected. Smith keeps the ball in, only for Morgan's header to be gathered by Ron Green. A move which emanated from Sinclair's throw. A feature of City's play was their patient build-up. Refusing to be put out of their stride, they hounded the Walsall defence, who under pressure were unable to clear their lines. Once again Mark Gavin is in the thick of things, and he's involved in this move before taking Rennie's pass in his stride and shooting wide. With City finding their men so well, their football was a delight to watch, and Walsall continued to chase in vain. Once again City build up from the back, players are available, and the crowd appreciative of City's open style. A second goal is not far away, and on this occasion it's Dave Smith who's involved. Receiving the ball on the left, he avoids one tackle before being sent tumbling. Referee Tom Fitzharris points to the spot, and Mark Gavin tucks his penalty away. City well in control and the crowd celebrating. They continued to enjoy City's attractive style, and by the time Nicky Morgan sets up Dave Rennie for an excellently executed third goal, the fans were encircling the pitch and could contain their excitement no longer. After spectators had been ushered back to the touchline, City still had time to add another, Smith doing some great work down the left to set up Morgan, and once again the pitch was swamped. At the end, they were back again. Eventually the City players got to the dressing room through the crowds, and within minutes were taking the acclaim of their loyal supporters as Joe Jordan and his team appeared in the director's box. 2 days later, the players were back at Ashton Gate for the traditional bus tour of the city.
Gentlemen, before the teams embark on their tour of the city, there are a couple of presentations to be undertaken, and we welcome this morning our Lord Mayor, Kath Stephen. Lord Mayor will now present a bottle of champagne to manager Joe Jordan. And another bottle will go to team captain Rob Newman. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support this season and for turning up this morning. The bus will be returning to Ashton Gate at 1 o'clock.
The bus tour over, the players took their final bow. Another long season was over, and the fans had recognised the achievement of their heroes. There were fine individual performances along the way, but essentially it was a team effort. Let's hope that next season the team and you supporters will be celebrating promotion again from Division 2.